Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Viktoriya and I love discussing a variety of topics on the subject of universal laws as well as how we can practice more love on a daily basis. Now, the subject matter that we are going to be discussing today is all about the help that the community can provide to immigrants, right? Now, the structure of this video series will be very much like my others, whereby in part 1 we talk about the facts, so we delve a little bit more into the topic for today's series, and we'll talk about some of the universal laws that are at play. And then part 2 will be all about the application of the laws and some practical tips as to how we can practice more love. And lastly, part 3 will be just a wrap up, concluding remarks, any departing thoughts, and messages from spirits, angels, archangels, using some of the wonderful decks that I've got here on the table. And so, just to kick off with the factual situation, what are we talking about? Community assistance for immigrants. If you wanna just ask me the question, Viktoriya, what are you on about? Well, the inspiration has come as a result of a few video series I made a couple of weeks ago about immigrating, how we can practice more love as an immigrant ourselves, during the first quarter after your journey of immigration. And I've also done a video series on targeting effectively adults who have just immigrated with children, and to give them a bit of an inspiration as to how one can assist kids in the space of immigration and immigration journey. So, having stepped back a little bit after having done those series, I thought, there might be an opportunity here to talk about, what's the community? What can the community do? I.e. the hosts, the residents of the relevant neighborhood, city, country, right? What can one do in order to actually assist another immigrant, a newcomer into your place of residence, right? And so I decided to make this video series, and it would be helpful if you can comment down below if you have immigrated before in your life, at some point in time you were actually an immigrant, and have a think about, that, first phase. What needs did you have at the relevant time? What kind of help do you think you needed, or assistance you may have wanted to receive? I think, just reflecting back on that experience and writing that down might actually help other immigrants out there who are, seeking information as to their journey and what kind of assistance and help they may require. The fact that you had a similar experience may actually make them feel familiar with the fact that, hey, they're actually in the same boat as some other people have been. And, likewise, the flip side is, if you're a community member and you have recently or sometime in the past assisted an immigrant in a meaningful way, please share your story with us. We would love to see and hear from you. Comment down below, and that will, I'm sure, act as an inspiration for other community members out there as to, some practical examples and tips as to what they could do in order to help, a fellow immigrant. So, we think a little bit about the universal laws that are at play as to immigration, and I've discussed a variety of them in the other video series that I will make sure are linked down below for you. But just focusing on the community part of it, right? The community assistance towards newcomers. Well, the first one that comes to mind, and I've mentioned this before, but it's all the fact that we are all residents of planet Earth, right? That there is no me or us and them feeling, okay? That may resonate with some of you, and if it does, if you might think of an immigrant as this, other person from another area, from another country, and there's this disparity, well, you may be inspired to actually think of the fact that we're all connected, we're one web. Ultimately we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, and to put it in perspective, we're all, human beings who have incarnated here on planet Earth. So as a result, it is a truth, fundamental truth, that we're all residents of planet Earth, okay? And so as a result, because we're all residents of this planet, perhaps that's a uniting factor that will enable you as a community member to actually reflect on that and have a think about and be inspired to actually practice love towards those newcomers, towards those new immigrants in your neighborhood, in your community. And to realize that, hey, actually, it's true, we're all residents of planet Earth. What does it matter that a person was born wherever they were born, or they resided wherever they have come from, and now they're in, the area or community that you're living in? What does it really matter if fundamentally we're all one connected, web of individuals, web of spirits? It just so happens that, we, when walking in our life through this timeline, we may be residing in, completely different locations, physical locations, geographic locations. And it so happens that, for a particular period, season of your life, you end up living or residing in the same neighborhood or in the same community. Now that naturally flows into the second universal law I wanted to discuss, which is all about the fundamental right of movement and that freedom of movement. So because we are all residents of planet Earth, it makes sense that we're actually entitled to live and reside wherever we want to. Each one of us has that inherent right. Now, something to think about is that, of course, the borders, the constructs of the countries, the physical borders and the legal, jurisdictional aspects to it, and the concepts of what country you're a citizen of, what country you're a resident of, the ability to obtain a visa in order to be able to travel from one place to another, for those jurisdictions that you do need to get a visa for. All of those constructs are actually human constructs, right? They are societal constructs. They are elements and concepts that have come into fruition after, a certain period of time, and which has created certain, restrictions or limitations on the right of movement for a variety of reasons, and I'm sure there are lots of good reasons. But just if you, step back a little bit for a moment, and just to think about it, the whole picture from the perspective of, right, here I am, a human being born in a particular, such and such location. Actually, fundamentally, you have the right to go wherever you want to. And you should be able to, in order to be able to make a living somewhere else, in order to establish a new lifestyle. So the fact that you decided to immigrate, a person decided to immigrate and start life in a new place, is their inherent right. And so as a community member of that area, if you have that, those kinds of thoughts in your mind, or that mentality, that perspective, it might help you in your journey of actually practicing love towards those individuals. And ultimately you might wonder, why bother? Why should I be doing that for somebody else? Well, the third universal law that I speak of is the energy of give and receive. It's a flow, it's a transformational thing, because energy transforms from one state to another, and give and receive have this lovely duality to it, that the more you give, the more you will receive. So the more love you give, the more you will receive in a variety of shapes and forms, direct or indirect. And so, here practicing love, giving something to another person, i.e. if you're a community member, giving something to another individual who has just come into your neighborhood, your community, you will ultimately get blessings in abundance. You will receive that back in due course. So with that in mind, let's talk about some applications, some practical tips in part 2. Click on the link down below in the description box, and I will see you shortly in part 2. See ya.